Good day, everyone. How much of you feeling today? I'm feeling well. It was raining the last couple days here in sunny San Diego, but it's starting to look a little bit more beautiful again. What I'm going to be talking about today is prostitution and why it isn't legal in the United States. Because I know it should be. It definitely should be. Now, if you are listening to this, I'm only going to be talking about the 5 main forms of prostitution that are present here in the United States, whether legal or illegal. And if you haven't seen my earlier video on prostitution and what are the forms, these forms that I'm talking about, you might want to go take a look at that. Also, there's the ban of sugar daddies video, because, well, sugar babies are in fact prostitutes. You might want to go take a look at that as well. Now, I'm not sure what kind of people may be listening to this. Now, for anybody who's thinking, well, there can't be any benefits to legalizing prostitution, there'd be a lot more rapes, prostitutes would get murdered, all kinds of crazy shit and immorality. Let me address the immorality that some of these people might talk about. It already exists. What the fuck? I mean, come on, like, seriously, if there's immorality going on in this country, it's going on now. I mean, legalizing or keeping prostitution legal is not going to affect it one way or the other. And for anybody who's saying that, well, it will cause maybe, I don't know, more sexually transmitted STIs, STD cases and stuff like that, or murders or rapes or anything like that. All the evidence says that shit is fucking false. It's not even sort of true. There's so much evidence that says, hey, you know what? Legalizing prostitution is a great idea, actually. It's a pretty good idea. Especially for, like, if the government wanted to tax it, it'd be a great idea. Police wouldn't have to, spend any time locking up prostitutes and the Johns. They'd save time and money with that, and they could focus on something a little bit more productive, like, I don't know, murderers. There are many articles and pieces of writing that suggest that prostitution being legal would be a huge benefit overall to the country itself, maybe even to the economy, all sorts of stuff. Like, I could sit here and tell you about how in Rhode Island they actually made prostitution legal, and when this happened, the amount of STD cases went down, the amount of reported rapes went down. And I can also tell you about how when they made it criminal again, the amount of STD cases went back to normal, and the number of reported rapes went back to normal. There is no reason to think that it would be really such a bad thing. Well, it might be bad for some people, but I'm going to talk about that later. But there's no reason to think overall it would be such a bad thing if prostitution was legal in this country in 2015. There is none. I can sit here and tell you about some countries who have made it legal, no longer criminal, to legally whore yourself out. And they've had no issues at all. I can sit here and tell you that the World Health Organization says, hey, you know what, you should legalize it, and have suggested that very same thing for many other countries. But we're just pretty much ignoring it. Now, I want to talk to you about who would benefit from legal prostitution in the United States, or decriminalizing prostitution in the United States. I think the number one overall would probably be the prostitutes themselves. There'd be less fear. The whole thing about the police and all things, all sorts of stuff. They would benefit a lot. The Johns would benefit a lot. The police would also benefit. I already told you about how they would benefit. They don't have to waste time on prostitutes. All sorts of people would benefit. I could even see the government benefiting it because, like I said already, taxes. And I don't see why they couldn't tax pussy. I mean, if they made it all regulated, they could benefit. But with everything that's a pro to somebody, it's a con to someone else. Like when television came out. That's right, when TV came out. And people started producing things that went on TV. People were able to get things out, stories out a little bit quicker. They made money off it. But you know what? There are some radio stars who found that TV was a detriment when people figured out what they looked like, and well, they weren't so easy on the eyes. So yes, with prostitution being legal, somebody's going to lose with this. It is going to be a detriment to somebody in some way, shape, or form. Now let me tell you one of the people that are going to be, or types of people that are going to be affected negatively by the legalization of prostitution. There's some whore, there's some dating whore on Twitter, and what the young woman posted was, if your man is not spending at least $500 on you a month, then you got a problem. Well, needless to say, I disagree with the statement, but let's just say prostitution was legal, and her man was able to spend, let's just say, even after taxes, $450 paying for sex. You know what? She wouldn't have a man. She probably wouldn't. I'm pretty sure she would not. 95% at least. Sure she would not have a man because he can get his sex for cheaper than the price that she comes with and spend less time getting his sex. I mean, when you talk about, picking her up and all that other bullshit, he would spend less time getting prostitutes, just simply paying for sex. She's one of the type of women that would lose out if prostitution was legal. So any woman with a bad attitude, these bitches, not bitches, I mean these women with bad attitudes, they would lose out. The kind of women that, not too many guys want, they may look nice, but not too many guys want to date them because, when you're with these type of women, it just make you want to die sooner or not be around them. Everything time they speak, it just does something to you. You don't want to be around them. They're toxic. Their personalities are toxic. Their looks might not always be so bad. Sometimes they are really bad, but their personalities are just so ugly. They would lose out if prostitution was legal. And of course, there's also fatty patties or fat women. I don't know, this BBW stuff. I don't know about that. Some of them are just fucking fat. They big and they're women, but I don't like the term. I prefer the term fatty patties. Now, there's some fatty patties that would be all right because there are some men out there with chubby fetishes and fat fetishes. But that's not the majority, man. So the majority of fatty patties would lose out with legal prostitution. Now that I've got, all that stuff out of the way, well, I don't get everything out of the way, but, all the, the common things out of the way, I want to go ahead and tell you this. And that's the real reason why whoring yourself out is not legal. And the real reason is this. Too many women would lose out. Simply, just that. Too many women would lose out. Women make up more of the country than men. They're like 51, 52% of the population or something like that. And too many women would lose out if prostitution were legal. You got to understand something. Those women who would lose out with prostitution, there are more of them than those who would benefit. Or women would be the primary beneficiaries of decriminalizing prostitution because, well, they make up the majority of prostitutes. They also would be the biggest losers. Definitely. No doubt about it. They would also be the biggest losers of prostitution. Men, there are some men who are engaged to be married right now. They just call it off right now, bar none. Just straight up, just like, yo, fuck this. Not every man would do this, but there would be a lot of it. There are some men that are married. They might be thinking about getting divorced all of a sudden, or having their marriage annulled. Newlyweds having their marriages annulled. Prostitution were legal. Women like that woman I spoke about earlier, the whole $500 a month thing. Women like her who have boyfriends, they wouldn't have boyfriends anymore. The majority of women would lose with legal prostitution. They just would. In fact, there are some women right now who may have men legalize prostitution. They wouldn't have men, and then they have to paying a man for sex. Trust me, it would happen, and that's why it's not legal. Because women don't want it. They know it is a threat. It's a threat to. It's a threat to their marriages. It's a threat to their relationships. It's a threat to control over their men and men in general. It's a threat to family. Because, less men are having family, less men are getting married right now. It's a threat to a lot of things. And you let this become legal, too many women would lose out. You just can't make it legal because of that. I'm sorry. But I say fuck them. You know what? If you were doing better, or just better people, you wouldn't have to worry about losing out. Just saying. That goes for fellas too. Thanks for listening, everybody. I just want to let you know if you're using prostitutes right now, the legal forms, which were like I think we are discussed this, except outside of Nevada, are just sugar baby prostitution. I don't recommend it. Don't do it. I'll make another video on that probably. Have a great day. Remember, the power is yours.